Despite securing a humanitarian agreement between the parties in talks in Saudi Arabia last week, a cessation of hostilities continues to prove elusive as the scale of need only grows.
Today, 25 million people, more than half the population of Sudan, need humanitarian aid and protection. This is the highest number we have ever seen in the country. The response plan we are launching today reflects that new reality. Through the plan, which is a revised version of the annual humanitarian response plan for 2023, we aim to reach 18 million people. The funding requirements of nearly $2.6 billion is also the highest for any humanitarian appeal for Sudan.
With warnings that the crisis is rapidly evolving into a regional one.
We launched an appeal for some $472 million to respond to the needs of over 1 million persons over the next 6 months. So far, the crisis, which has just started a month ago, resulted in massive outflows into neighboring countries.
As refugee flows place additional pressure on an already fragile region.
About 220,000 refugees and returnees have been seeking safety in Chad, Sudan, Egypt, Central African Republic, and Ethiopia. 150 of them are Sudanese refugees and asylum seekers. Close to 60,000 are people who were refugees in Sudan and who are returning to their country in adverse conditions. So the South Sudanese form the largest number, and overall we have to keep in mind that there were 1.1 million refugees living in Sudan prior to this crisis.
The World Food Programme says it has now reached more than 300,000 people since restarting emergency distributions in Sudan 2 weeks ago, providing about 6,500 tons of food to people in several states.
We had asked for $1.75 billion for the original appeal for 2023. This is now increased to $2.6 billion. We have the number of people that we are targeting has gone from over 12 million to 18 million people. That's an increase of almost 6 million people. The number of people in need has gone up to 25 million. So you can imagine the needs have expanded drastically and throughout the country. Funding levels, however, as we have seen for many crises around the world in the last couple of years, has been poor, and Sudan is no exception.
I'm glad we are all here.
Head of the UN's political mission in the country, Volker Pettis, is due in New York next week to brief the Security Council. Of additional concern is the lack of access to basic services, access to things like food, healthcare, electricity and water and sanitation, making health risks that much more acute while increasing the risk of famine. The army, led by General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, has been using airstrikes and shelling in an effort to subdue fighters aligned with the Rapid Support Forces under the command of General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, who are entrenched in residential areas in Khartoum. Sherwin Briceby's SABC News, New York.